Thank you for attending today. We're going to be talking essentially about business grants and assistance, what is available to you predominantly from government sources, whether it be state, federal or local government. So we're going to go through that today. So my name's David Ashton. I've been a Business Station advisor since 2014. I'm also principal consultant with the business advisory firm Corporate Supremacy, and that's a list of the services that we provide to government, not-for-profit or private industry, and we've been across all industry sectors over recent years. But from a point of view of grants and assistance, I've been on both sides of the fence. I've submitted grants for my own business and for clients. I recently won a grant with a local government here in Perth, which is where I'm based, and just finalising the project for them this week, actually. So I've got a record of winning grants for myself, and also a record of winning grants or assisting my clients to obtain grants themselves. And I've also sat on the other side of the fence where I've been on selection panels to award grants as well, and part of that assessment process. So I can bring that practical and, I guess, insider knowledge to this seminar as well. So today we're going to, I'm going to send you a copy of this presentation as well, either later on today or tomorrow morning. So you will get it. I won't go into the Business Station stuff, it's all there, but Business Station can help you at all stages of your business development. So do take advantage of the services that we provide, whether they be workshops, webinars, one-to-one advisory, or networking events, whether you be in WA, Queensland or Northern Territory. I'm based in Perth, so today we're going to look at why does government provide grants, because that's part of the matter that you're going to need to address in your application. We're going to look at where you can find grants and assistance. We're going to look at the whole application process, from deciding on what grants to go to preparing your application. And we're going to touch on demonstrating your organisational capacity through your management approach. So the grant funding body is not just going to assess your proposal or your project that you want the grant funding for, they're also going to assess your credibility, your capacity as a business to be able to deliver that as well, and to effectively manage the money that they are going to give you, or the assistance they're going to give you. So that's what we're going to go through today. And if you've got any questions, put them in the chat box or the Q&A box, and I'll respond to them as we go. And I'll also open the mic up at the end of the session if you want to have another brief discussion or chat. But let's get on with it then. So why does government provide grants and assistance? Well, essentially, they're looking to do three things. They want to achieve a thriving economy, local and state and national. They want to reduce unemployment. They want to make communities stronger. And one of the means to doing that is to assist businesses grow and develop locally, expand overseas, export overseas, grow their market within their local community and the broader community, and also through your business support that community by providing local employment and buying goods and services from other businesses. So in order to do that, they need strong businesses, and grant funding is available to assist in that. Most of the grant funding is for particular purposes. There's not a lot, if any, out there for your day-to-day business costs. It's generally capital type funding to help you grow and expand, not pay your day-to-day bills. So the types of projects that will be funded affect or involve as many people as possible, have a broad applicability, strong and dedicated backing with a high likelihood of success. So you need to demonstrate in your application that your project is worthwhile funding and it is actually going to succeed and achieve the objectives that's set out. So broad appeal and support, provide a long-term solution that'll generally make a difference, and something new or visionary that's being held back only because of a lack of funds. This could be some, serious high IT or tech or scientific development that struggles to attract the necessary commercialisation grants and funding to help it grow. So plenty of examples of that happening in Australia, where someone's come up with a new invention and had to go overseas to obtain funding because there hasn't been the private sector backing here. So government steps into the breach, and we'll look at those opportunities. So, and from your point of view as a business, you've got to demonstrate you're suitably registered and competent business to be able to deliver that project. So ABN, you've got to operate within the state providing the grant. If it's a state government grant or a local government, you got proper proof of the concept that you're seeking the grant for. You've got to have the rights to market the end product or service. You've got to have demonstrate a potential customer base for it. You've got to spend the estimated costs in the state providing the grant, and you've got to have proof of matched funding. And that last dot point is important because a lot of the funding is dollar for dollar. They'll give you $100,000. The project might be you need 200,000 for it. They'll give you $100,000, but you've got to match that with $100,000 yourself, or 20,000, or whatever the grant may be. So that's what perhaps stops a lot of businesses, is that that ability to raise the other funding. But we'll talk about that in here. So types of assistance are available, and I talk about grants and assistance. Grants are the cash component, but there's a lot of other things that's available out there for business to help you grow and expand. So grants, as I said, they're available, mostly matched funding, dollar for dollar arrangements, rebates, subsidies, incentives, so whether it be tax offsets or research, training and development, advisory and mentoring services. So the services you get from Business Station are provided from a grant of the government. And the Business Station is obviously one and is using that funding to provide services along the digital solutions program. And then the other assistance is low interest loans as well. So we talk about grants and assistance, and that's what we'll look at here today. So where do we find them? Well, I've got a series of websites here, and I'm going to go through this grants and program one first, but I won't go through the others. But you can see there grants and programs. That'll find you 10 grants in state and federal governments across Australia. Grant Connect is Commonwealth grants only. Self-Start, that's for people sort of transitioning from employment to business and helping up and running. COVID assistance packages if they're needed again. Research and development, tax incentives, venture capital partnerships, so funding to help expand that. Export development, market development grants. If you're looking to export your goods or services overseas, you may be eligible for some funding to assist with up to 50% of the marketing costs. Landing pads where they make available, this is if you're setting up overseas, you can potentially hire some office space and get some support in the early stages of your business overseas. So state government WA, that website there has information on WA grants, and if you're in Queensland or Northern Territory, the respective websites in there are there. So as I said, I'll provide you with a copy of this document so you can go and have a look at those websites yourself. And other opportunities, whether the banks provide assistance, check there. And other private companies, do they support their suppliers? I did some work probably about 5 years ago now with Crown Casino on tendering. I was running some workshops on there for their suppliers on how they can, access Crown Crown services or supply goods and services to Crown. And I was assisting their suppliers to improve the quality of their tender submissions. So there's an example of private companies working with their suppliers to provide support. So again, speak to other companies that you deal with as to what's available out there as well. But predominantly we're looking at government grants and assistance. So I'm going to go back up to this website here and just briefly just run through this with you as to where you can find a grant. So I'm going to stop sharing this screen and I'm going to share this screen here. So you should be able to see a website called Grants and Programs Finder. So what we do here is we click on that and we go through and say, well, what is your business? Where are you? Well, I'm in WA. Okay. And so I click on next. What industry am I in? Well, I'm sort of professional. I'll click on that one. And you can do multiple searches. Click on next. What's my business structure? Well, I'm a company. And what do I want to do? What am I looking to achieve? I want advice and mentoring. I want funding. And we all want tax benefits. So what am I looking for assistance with? What do I want to do for my business? Well, I want digital and online. Marketing. Operational costs, probably nothing, but tick it anyway. Sell to government. I want training and skills. Click on next. Where am I at in my business stage? Well, I'm more than 5 years. And I want to see grants that are currently open, coming soon, and closed. And the reason why I click on closed is because that will give me an idea of what's gone in the past and what may come up in the future. So you don't have to click all those, but so by going through that and the opportunity type, well, I'm not an Aboriginal business, so I'm going to exclude that. So view results. So going through that exercise, it's come up with 29 grants and programs that I may be eligible for. So, and I would recommend you diarise this to go through and do this search every couple of months. So, because some grants are open all year round and others have a timed one. So you can see this one in WA that closes tomorrow, closes in 22 days' time if you're in Victoria. So you can see here there are state government grants and local and federal government grants. So the idea, having gone through this exercise, is then go through a process of elimination to work out what grants available. So, this one here, funding to help businesses get third-party certification. Well, if I want to know more information about that, I'll just click on that and it brings up all the details, how much funding is available, and get certification for that, eligibility criteria which you need to meet. So looking at that, I meet that criteria. And then how do you apply? So that's the details there. So having gone through that, then get on the phone and have a chat to these people here about the process to go through. So you can see there, just by going through that exercise, I've found 29 grants and assistance that may or may not be suitable for me. So now I'll go back to the, so yeah, run through that, and you can do the same with the other websites as well, but I'll leave those to you. The other area you might get assistance from too is local government. Local government, and particularly in WA, is becoming increasingly involved in business and economic development. As I said, I'm in the town of Victoria Park, and I received a grant from them to do some work for them. They provide small business grants, a couple of the other councils do. So, you know, and these are the ones for smaller businesses like myself and those starting out, are the ones that are probably going to get opportunities for grants more so than the bigger federal and state government ones that require dollar for dollar. You know, this grant I got was for 10,000. They had smaller grants. City of Bunbury down south had, you know, $3,000 grant a couple of years ago. So just go to your local government where your business is based and have a look in their economic development section of their website, or contact their economic development team and ask what assistance they give local government. So that might come in the form of networking events. And I know City of Gosnells is an example in Perth here that does good networking events. Town of Vic Park as well. Grants, as I said, I've got a couple from councils, business advisory services, newsletters, access to useful data about the suburbs and markets that you can access, and also business awards. I mean, Town of Vic Park has a good annual business awards, and Belmont and Wanneroo and a few around the place. So you might be able to nominate for a business award as part of your local government. So check out your council, because there might be some good support available to you for your business, whether it be grants or assistance. So having gone through that exercise we've just done, and we've found 29 grant opportunities, the next stage is to really identify the grants that are relevant to you. And then, you know, so that's that process of elimination. And then if you find something that you think's worthwhile having a look at, then go through that process of, you know, reviewing the guidelines, the process requirements, the application form, any supporting information. You know, get on the phone, have a chat to the people, get them involved early in the process, and, you know, get them to, whilst they won't write your application, they can at least advise and guide you on what you should include, and get it to the point where there's some in principle support for you to submit your application and at least get it considered. Don't just download a form, fill it out and send it off. Do the homework, build that relationship with the funding body first. So, you know, look at what they're trying to achieve and look at what type of organisation they're looking to fund as well. So you need to make sure that you meet the eligibility criteria. So again, you know, ask any questions or clarifications. You know, there's two types of grant processes. There's those grants that are available all year round, but then there's special purpose grants that have a dedicated opening and closing time, and each type of grant's going to be assessed a bit differently. Those types of grants, where there's a closing date and time, they're a little bit like tenders. So, you know, there'll be a selection panel, and, you know, people will, you know, make decisions on who to award a limited pool of funding. So that requires a particular strategy similar to tendering. But the other ones, you know, there's more opportunity to build that relationship and have that discussion with the funding body. You know, there might be a briefing or information sessions available, or webinars that you need to look at. Understand the eligibility criteria. So does your business meet that eligibility criteria? And again, as I said, build that relationship with the funding body. And then, ask yourself, are you grant ready? The success of you receiving a grant is dependent on your business success. So do you have a good record of achievement as a business? What's your business strategy? How will you implement your strategy? Why will that strategy succeed? Having a good understanding is important as that. And what's the value of the grant? And how will that enable your business to succeed? Why are you seeking that grant? And then you need to demonstrate that you can deliver the outcome. So do you have a business plan or a strategic plan? They're the things that the funding body is going to want to know, because that's going to help you prepare your application. And you might need to provide a copy of your business plan as part of the application process. And then go through and make that decision on whether the grant is worth applying for. Do you have the financial capacity to meet the dollar for dollar requirements? You might want a $20,000 grant for a $40,000 project, but do you have $20,000 in cash available as well? How are you going to fund that other requirement? Is it consistent with your business strategy? Are there risks involved? Weigh up the risk. Grants, they're not just going to give you money for free. They're going to want something in return. And if you don't deliver it, then they're going to ask for the money back. So what's how are you going to manage that money? You need to make sure that you're in a good financial position as well. And they're going to want to know how you're going to manage that money. Because if they do have to ask it back, they're going to make sure that you actually still have it available. So you might have to set up another bank account to hold that money in there, and that money is only used for the purpose of the grant, not for other operational costs or business costs. So make that decision early in the piece, particularly where it is a timed closing date application, as to whether that particular grant is suitable for you. So appoint a project team. You're preparing your application. Make sure you get your key people involved. Who's going to write the application? What information you need for that? For a closing date application. Make sure that you set yourself plenty of time to get it delivered by the due date and time. Process will be similar to tenders. You'll have to upload it to a website. You might need to get other information from external sources to help inform your bid and the budget that you're going to put together. So get all that information beforehand. Have all the information available. Like a tender, they're going to ask for your corporate details. They might want insurance details, evidence of your registrations as a company, referees, testimonials, any information that they're going to ask for. Set up a grants file and keep all that available for future grants, because you can apply for more than one grant. So that's all the information that they're likely to have for you. It's very similar to a tender process. So on the one hand, tendering, you're bidding for work. Grants, you're bidding for funding. Same sort of rigor involved, selection process, compliance requirements, demonstrating the value of your project that you want the funding for, but demonstrating your organisational capacity to deliver that as well. You're going to need to put together a budget, dollar for dollar type grants. You're wanting $20,000 for a $40,000 project. Where's the other $20,000 coming from, and what are you actually going to use the funding for, and how is that going to be broken up? So have a detailed budget, make it easy to read, put some explanatory notes with it to explain certain aspects, but cover off on all the matters that you're going to need the funding for. So writing the application, build the relationship with the funding body, as I said, get them to advise and guide you through the process. Description of your organisation, you need to establish that credibility and qualification for funding. And what's the long-term benefits of the project to your business? How's it going to help your business grow? And what's the project, the benefit to the community? Those dot points we talked about: creation of jobs, preservation of existing jobs, supporting local communities, local suppliers, all those sorts of things. So you're all about building your case for funding support. Why should I give you funding when there are other businesses that are equally eligible and entitled to it as well? So demonstrating awareness of the specific needs of your target group or community that the project is going to benefit. Produce evidence of that, so data and research and the like, support from your local community and target market. Is it a need that your business can realistically address? Remember, you've got to convince them of that. Can your business do that? And that gets down to your organisational capacity, which we'll talk about. Demonstrate market support, so letters of support from community leaders and other organisations and potential or existing clients. And in writing your application, tell a story. What's so good about this? That type of thing. You're trying to convince me to give you funding. How is this proposal going to benefit the community in the context of those dot points earlier? How's it going to benefit your business long term? How is it going to benefit the funding body? Because they've got a problem that they're trying to solve, and you're going to help them solve it. So be bold and positive, avoid exaggerated claims, and write factually as well, because the information could be audited. They might do an audit on your business before they give you the funding. So make sure you can justify the statements that you've made in there. It's important to match up your proposal with what the funding body is looking to achieve. As I said, they've got a problem that they want to achieve, a problem that they want to solve. They're looking to you to help solve it, and they're going to give you funding to do that. So demonstrate how to benefit the target group, provide evidence to support that, show where it fits into the funding body's priorities. And how do you do that? Well, you have that discussion with them. What are they trying to achieve, and gear your application to helping them achieve that and demonstrating that you can achieve it through the project that you're proposing, but also your capacity as an organisation. So do your research on that funding body, look at their websites, annual reports, other documentation, discussions that you have with them. Get a feel for what's likely to be funded and whether you meet that requirement. So show a clearly defined strategy, a business plan for that project that you're working on. Be as concrete as possible in terms of what it is you're trying to achieve, the objectives that you set, how they'll be achieved, and what's the ultimate success of the program, and how will that be measured. And you address that all in the strategic plan that then goes to the government with a budget and says, well, I need X amount of funding for this project. This is how it's going to benefit you and my business and the community. This is how I'm going to go about delivering it. And this is evidence of my capacity to be able to deliver that. History of completing similar projects. If you've got a history of other grants, how did you go with them in delivering that project? Your history as an organisation, your key personnel, all those sorts of things. They're the things that will convince the funding body to give you the funds. And your win themes, like we talked about in tenders. What's so good about your proposal? What's so good about your business? The application process is a marketing exercise because there's only a limited amount of money. So you've really got to demonstrate that you can deliver that project and you are a credible organisation and financially secure and all those things. So win themes, strategic plans, objectives and targets, measurement, and capacity to deliver. So business capacity, skills and expertise of the business, but also of the key personnel involved, understanding the organisational structure and how you're all going to work together to deliver the project, and then looking at your management approach. What sort of management systems, quality, safety, environment, the like, that you have in place to deliver the project and demonstrate your capacity. So yeah, skills and experience. So that's not just of your business, but also the key person involved. What experience do they have from working elsewhere as well? So presentation and structure. Yeah. So a lot of these grant applications are just online forms now. So you need to fill those out accordingly. There might be word limits and the like, so check all that sort of stuff and make it easier for the person reading it to actually read it and find the information, follow answer all the questions, persuade me to give you the grant funding that you're chasing. Again, make it easy to read, graphs, tables, photos. You might be asked to provide this. More often than not, you'll be asked to include a business plan. So a lot of this information could be included in that, but then within the body of the document that you need to fill out for their benefit, you need to make reference to that and point me in the right direction as to where I can find information. Answer all the questions, which is pretty important. Yeah, don't leave anything unanswered or leave me guessing as to what the answer may be as a person on the selection panel. Easily understood. Importantly, not understood by someone that doesn't work in your industry. There's a selection panel of 3 or 4 people. There might be someone that's not directly engaged with that industry. So make sure that whoever's reading it can understand it. So if you're using acronyms and the like, make sure you spell those out in detail as well. And also that people reading your application don't know your business. So don't leave them guessing on anything. Explain it in detail what they need to know. So in finalising the application, proofread, edit, strong win themes, answer all the questions, build a strong case for funding support. Depth of information is appropriate, logical and easy to read, internally consistent and the like, and has all the information. So if it asks for copies of information, make sure that you provide it. Package and deliver by the due date. So as I said, some of these grants are available all year round. Others are available for a short period of time. So depending on the nature of the process involved, that will determine how you're actually to go about delivering that. But again, make sure you do deliver it by the closing date and time, and respond if they ask for further information. And if you are unsuccessful, seek feedback on your application as to why you weren't, because you can apply for future grants. And if you are successful, then you're going to have to maintain good records, good financial management, and demonstrate your financial security, because they are going to want you to acquit the grant at the end of it. So making sure that you did achieve the objectives and the like, and that everything that you said you would use the funding for was funded, because they will ask for money back if you haven't used all the funding or you haven't used it properly. So be mindful of that. So demonstrating your organisational capacity, look at your management systems and procedures, or your policies and procedures. They will require details of your organisational capacity and having good quality management and systems and procedures in line will assist in that. Could be a pre-qualification with that, and it is just good business to have documented policies and procedures. So I did go through this with the tender session earlier if you came to that, but these are the management systems that you generally get taught about: quality management, environment, safety, information security is becoming increasingly important, good governance, so codes of conduct and fraud and corruption and social responsibility. Risk management, more often than not, you'll have to complete a risk management plan for the project, particularly if you're going for government, local government grants and assistance, and then HR management, financial policies and procedures, and the like. So that's essentially the grant one. It's a smaller session. It's mainly around just helping you find grant opportunities and giving you some guidance on, how to go about preparing an application. The key points really, in conclusion, then, work through that, go and do that exercise that I went through earlier, work through the websites, identify grant opportunities, and then go through a process of elimination to come up with the grants that you think are relevant and you're capable of obtaining, and you meet the eligibility criteria, and then get on the phone, have the discussion with the funding body and start to work through your application with their involvement. So do that. Contact your local government, see what the council can do to help you out as a business or any industry partners. Review the grant information to determine whether you're grant ready as well. So get yourself in that position where you think you are ready to put in a grant. Build relationships with the funding body, treat the process as a project, and manage people resources accordingly. Build a case for funding support. So match up. How are you going to solve my problem? And I'm going to give you funding. How are you going to solve my problem with that funding? And be particular about your presentation and structure. So that's essentially it. Develop your win themes, look at your management systems, critical proofread and edit, and deliver it by the due date and time where there is one. So that's all important. So that's essentially my presentation on this. The key takeaway is really those websites that I gave you to go through that exercise and just find grant opportunities. So go through each one of those. As I said, have a chat to the local council. That's pretty important, particularly for smaller businesses, because there might be some funding available for immediately. Things that council might fund could be, upgrading your website, signage, business development type grants. But they will put a requirement on it that you spend the money with a business in the town or the city or whatever. So that's it. That's my contact details. I'll leave the mic open until 1:15, and then if you've got any questions or anything, feel free to ask, and we'll go from there. And I will send you a copy of this presentation either later today or tomorrow. I'll talk to you later.
Thanks so much, David, for your time. That was very informative. I've never actually listened to a presentation like this, so I look forward to actually going through it in the email then.
You'll get that. I've got to head down south this afternoon, so I'm more than likely to be first thing in the morning, but you will get the presentation and go from there.
Yeah, thank you so much.
That's good. Thanks for that. Thanks for participating, and do take advantage of any other business station services. Are you in Perth or WA or over east?
I'm in Queensland.
Okay, yep.
Yep.
Yeah,
cool.
so you got the Queensland stuff there. So it's all same applicability across the country. So
Yep, cool. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Matt. See ya.